My very first memory with weed would be the aroma of a fresh cut harvest when I was really young, probably 5 years old. And my dad was harvesting and I would just smell it like throughout the entire property, the barn, the house, everything, our trucks, so I remember the aroma first and foremost. When I got older, I started trying out cannabis, I think smoking when I was 13, and I thought I was the shit. I had pounds already when I was 16, and it was just like a family business, and it was pretty cool. However, my dad went to prison when I was almost 18, so when I was 17 for cannabis. And so it really put a damper on my experience after that because it was such a hard thing for myself and my family to overcome. And we suffered a lot through Prohibition. That wasn't the only time. We had been raided and properties taken from us, and a bunch of things had happened since I was young due to Prohibition. Actually, it kind of made me really nervous as an adult because I was the oldest child, so I really had a lot of responsibility when he went away. It made me shy away from the industry altogether for a few years, and I kind of just took on responsibility of my family and went to college, which was a great journey. I was, living out my career as a professor and a therapist. Weed definitely came back to me, and it was full force came back to me. It had not legalized yet. I think it was 2014 when I really started growing professionally and decided to kind of go back into the industry and in a really strong way. I think I'm still getting to know other business owners to find inspiration, but because this is such a new industry and the CEOs and owners are just so brand new, we're all brand new. We're all doing this together, so I think it's been hard to find somebody a role model for me, but I do think that there's been a couple cannabis brands that I see that are doing really, really well, and they really stand for something, and they have a really good aesthetic. They're beautiful and they have good flowers. So I think some of those cannabis brands like Lumpy's Flowers, one of my favorite. Shout out to you, Lumpy's. That's my boys. They're a really cool indoor cultivation. I think that they have a great brand and they have a great team. They're great people with great weed, amazing weed. They're very inspirational to me as well because I know how much courage it took to be where they're at, and I know what it took. The guy who wrote Rich Dad Poor Dad, Robert Kiyosaki, he's really, really big in finance. I think that I had to learn a lot about finance over the last 7 years due to my position and my role in multiple companies. And so it really took me studying people that knew about finance to really engineer revenue streams and understand how to make a living off of a beautiful plant and keep my standards and keep my, my ethics and make sure that I end up at the top. Being a mother in cannabis and a business owner, I think that we've been learning together, how to express ourselves because, our family they're third generation. My daughters are third generation cannabis. So there's some really strong roots, some deep roots, and they know nothing else, just like I knew nothing else. This has always been, and this is who they are, and this is what they do. They've seen all the way from us having to say, not being able to talk about anything. They've seen the transition all the way to now where I'm very expressive, and I'm so grateful that I was strong enough to stand strong on what I believed in, which is entheogenic plant medicine, at the root and foundation of everything, which is why I had the courage and why I had the motivation to get through what we got through the transition. But yeah, it's been really beautiful to watch and to be able to be really open with my kids. And I like being able to educate them and not feeling any fear at all either, about plant medicine, about cannabis. And so it's not something naughty that you do. It's more something that you do for fun or for medical use if you need it when you're older, and so it's kind of like this cool conversation now. So my first career that I took on was, I have a master's degree in psychology and social work. I have an emphasis in statistical research, and I really, really love working with people. And so I really just wanted to be a therapist and help others, as they go along their journey in life, and be a support to other people. That was my number one goal, and it still is. And then as I became a therapist, I ended up becoming a professor at the college, teaching counseling, social work. I was also the head counselor, academic counselor for a community college. I did online courses at Sac State. And then even after that, went into medical social work. So working for hospitals, one of the largest hospital chains in Northern California. I worked for years. I was gaining my LCSW hours as I really went into cannabis, which is like highly concentrated in mental health, and the way the brain works. I'm really into like biology and molecular structure, human development, and things like that. Being a female in the cannabis industry, I think has its challenges, but it's also, I take a lot of pride in it. And so it motivates me as well. My perspective and position and role. I think that there is a lot of challenges in regards to business, no matter what business it is for women. But I definitely think that you need to earn your respect here in the cannabis industry because it is male dominated. I also think that there is a lot of space for women in the cannabis industry, which I'm very, very grateful for the opportunity. To be able to have the opportunity that I have today to be a woman in the industry. I think that I had to fight for it. I think that it's not an easy thing to do either. If any female in the cannabis industry, if they're doing well, I know what that takes. I would have to say my favorite strain, the high on it is Trainwreck, because I just love the straight sativa high. Like, I'm a mom, I'm a business owner. I want to be able to get high and chill and still do the work that I need to do, and be creative as well. I think that the Trainwreck, which is an old school strain, is always going to be my favorite high. For taste, I would say that a lot of the gelatos are really tasty, and they're so good. The candy gas is just so good that I can't get over the taste. It's just phenomenal. In my younger years with the legacy market, it was definitely Green Crack and Blue Dream. Green Crack and Blue Dream really hit it out of the park in the legacy market. As it transitioned over to the licensed market, we've not seen a decrease in sales for candy, gas, exotics with color. That means gelatos, runts with purple hues are phenomenal, and everybody wants to smoke them. So we have not stopped on those. We can't get enough of them. I even go into full-on supply contracts with farms with the right genetics. Lemon cherry gelatos, guava gelatos, just are amazing, and the market wants them. The legacy and the licensed market want runts and gelatos. So I do have my own dispensary. I'm fully vertically integrated. So that means that I own every part of the supply chain now. I own cultivation, distribution, processing, manufacturing, and dispensary and delivery. So I became fully vertically integrated as a business model to ensure that if any one business wasn't doing well, the other could support it. But definitely, our brands coming out, we have highly procured brands, which means that our team and myself choose the flower that goes into each brand, professionally choose it. We taste before we choose any flowers that go into our brands. So the next step for me as a professional in cannabis is to launch my brands and to launch some brands that really stand for something and that people can educate and learn from and also just really have a good time with, and they never have to worry about quality. That's one of my goals, is that our brands will showcase what real, true quality cannabis is, and they don't have to worry about the quality. They can count on us to provide the best flower in Northern California, and that's what we're known for. Okay, so basically I own the largest terpene vault in California. So basically we extract the terpenes, the aromatics from the cannabis before we send it off to manufacturing. And so I've really been studying and been able to been exposed to a lot of different aromatics with cannabis on a regular basis. And so within that, I started studying. I'm also a foodie. So I started studying, aromatics, taste, and how cannabis and food are infused now and what we can do in the future. And there is a ton of things to do in the future with taste, food, and cannabis. I've actually worked with a few private chefs in Napa Valley and really worked with them on palate cleansers infused with terpenes, watermelon sorbets mixed with gelato terpenes. I've done salads, a radicchio salad with fresh cannabis leaf in it, which I think that is highly overlooked in the edible market because people don't think of putting fresh leaf in their food like as a daily use. And that's it's an overlooked use for cannabis because there's so many nutrients in the fresh leaf that we have not had in our regular diet because of prohibition. So I think that that's another thing that I would like to push that has not been pushed yet is the fresh leaf. And it's just like cilantro, just like parsley, you use it in your food, in your salads and things like that, in your sandwiches even. A lot of the chefs were like, they never had access to fresh cannabis leaf before meeting me. And so the chefs that I'm working with are like, wow, we can really do a lot with this, so that's cool. I like the whole terpene vibe too, because I do think that edibles sometimes get a little too intense for people to be able to come to like an infused dinner and things like that. So I think that the terpenes and lower THC strains really go well with food and edibles and kind of events like that. I also think that pairing the actual flower with meals is very, very interesting. I did a salmon paired with a wine. And so what we paired it with was a lemon Vuitton, a cannabis flower. And then we went into the salmon, and then we went into a buttery Chardonnay. It was an incredible pairing, and I had never really experienced cannabis like that before. So one of our brands, the Jade Club Tasting Company, put that on and really worked with the chef and the winemaker to create those pairings. So we're definitely into tasting and experiencing cannabis with food and wine, and having a lot of really quality experiences for consumers and people that really love weed. Yes, so the stalk of the cannabis actually has a lot of cannabinoids in it that really haven't been introduced to people as well because they're not using the stalk. But what we've done here at our distribution center is, because we have a processing center as well, we're starting to chip the stalk of the cannabis, and I'm creating and learning how to blend teas. So this is a lower THC component. We can also put the flower in there to create higher THC, but the stalk of the plant hasn't been used. Also, the root of the plant has not been used. So I've been working on learning how to dry the root out properly, cut it open and take the root of the cannabis plant out. That's real medicinal, healing. is through the root and the stalk. And I would say that there's a lot of psychoactive effects of the flower part, but there's a lot of other cannabinoids and THCVs and things like that in the stalk and in the root that we haven't really played with. There's a lot of research happening right now at different colleges and research universities and things like that. I do have a degree in statistical research, so I'm watching everything as it unfolds and being a part of what I can. I'm very interested in how the new cannabinoids and THCV and THCA, how they affect our bodies and brains, especially when we isolate things. So I'm very much into the science as well, along with the metaphysics of a beautiful plant. You know, it's definitely like has so much diversity. So I wanted to create a podcast to express myself, to ensure that there is representation of women in cannabis as well. Also, the media company aspect. I started a media company because there was not enough documentation over the last 5 years of really how extremely challenging this has been and how beautiful the industry really is. And I saw it with my own eyes, and I just wanted to capture it so much. I wanted other people to see how beautiful and how interesting and what a vibe cannabis really is. And that culture, that Northern California culture, I want to bring to people and show them the reality of what it is and what it takes to be in the industry and to be really involved in the cannabis plant in a very, intimate way, you know, because once you start your relationship with cannabis, I mean, I'm sure that everybody can attest to this. It's like, that's like a relationship. That's like a vibe for everybody in their own way. And I think it's beautiful. And I saw it within everybody, whether or not they were growing, helping, taking care of plants, whether or not they were harvesting, whether or not they were just smoking. You know, I see it in everybody and I recognize it. And I think it's so beautiful. And I was like, I would see shots in my head, you know, because I just thought of I would think of things like a movie sometimes, and I'd be like, oh my God, like this is so dope. Like, I wish that I could share this with other people. And I would go to other people's cultivations because we all know each other in Northern Cali. I mean, I work with 50 cultivations very, very closely. I would go over there and see how beautiful and how hard they worked. And I'd be like, let me take pictures over here. They're like, yeah, please. We haven't even had a chance to take any pictures. We haven't had a chance to do any media whatsoever. And I'm like, no, you're missing it all. So then we would start going out there. You know, we would start coming out there with cameras when we would come. I'd be buying weed, you know what I mean? Looking at all their flowers, the ones that were going to come out, you know, and kind of getting a feel for the strains that they were going to have next. And it was just a vibe. And they were like, come out whenever you want to. And I was like, you know what? I was like, we can really, you know, help you to express yourself and to showcase the work that you've been doing. And they're like, please, we would love that. I hope that everybody watching, they feel close to me and my business and what I do. We're going to go on a journey right now, and I'm going to take you to the most beautiful places in Northern California with the best weed you've ever seen and tasted. And you'll be able to find us in dispensaries. You'll be able to come out and visit us and know that you are perfect just the way you are, and that we accept anybody that has a part of the industry, including consumers and people that love weed. The thoughts that are most important are your own thoughts. And you better always separate your own thoughts from everybody else's and honor yourself every day.